Sabari, Chakraborty. Sabari is a clinical hypnotherapist and she's a past life regression therapist, trained and certified by Dr. Brian Weiss from the USA, and a life between lives regression therapist, trained and certified by Michael Newton Institute, USA. Sabari works with the subconscious mind to heal emotional, mental or physical imbalances from the root, facilitating healing from deep inside the psyche. She uses inner child therapy, she uses EFT, Usui, Reiki and Access Consciousness body processes as well. So Sabari's integrated healing techniques have helped many people in India and from around the world. So after facilitating more than 1,200 past life regression sessions and countless hypnotherapy sessions, Sabari feels that true healing happens when the mind, body and soul are in harmony. She lived in Mumbai for 22 years and now has recently shifted to Goa in April 2014 and calls this beautiful place home. Welcome.
Firstly, I'd like to thank Darren for having me. Thank you, Darren. And a big thank you to each one of you for coming here on a Sunday and giving impetus to Darren's dream of having a platform of integrated mind-body healing. So here we are, and today's topic right now I'm going to speak on EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Technique. So anyone here practices EFT, knows of EFT, has done? Okay, great. So we have 3 people here, and 4. So I saw you, Peter. So EFT, we've been hearing since morning about a lot of energy. It's been spoken about energy in the body, bioenergy, how energy flows, astral body, beyond the physical body. So all of this is also part of EFT. It is about energy. I'll tell you a little briefly how EFT came to the world. Its founder is someone called Gary Craig, who is not a doctor or a therapist, but is a Stanford engineer. So what happened is that Gary Craig basically was very interested in psychology since he was a young boy. And as he grew up, he realized that his thoughts reflected his world, his reality. So he studied further and he decided to work with energy. Thought is energy, which creates our external reality. So he started working with meridians in the body, which when Darren was talking about acupressure, we saw the drawing. So we have key meridians in the body through which energy flows. And when for any reason there is a block in that meridian, it creates discomfort, disease, aches, pains in the body. So EFT basically works with energy meridians, which I will show you, the key energy meridians, but it also works with the mind while we tap on these energy meridians. So basically, the basis of EFT is old Eastern learning, ancient wisdom, which is acupressure, acupuncture. In acupressure, we physically poke the place that has got blocked energy. In acupuncture, we use a thin needle to poke and go through the block to open up the energy. In EFT, while you tap, you use Western psychotherapy, which is like getting to the core of the issue, like you peel an onion. So while you're tapping the meridian to peel off the layers of the issue for himself or herself, and it gives a very deep sense of empowerment because someone else is not telling the client what is wrong, but by helping the client, facilitating the client to peel off the layers, the client is going deeper into the issue himself or herself, and realization when it happens is fantastic because it comes from within and not from outside. So what happens is that I'm supposed to talk about addiction, which I will come to later, but a little more about this emotional freedom technique. This is a self-help tool which all of us, once we learn it, can use it. Children can use it, adults can use it, anyone who can tap and just say the words out. There is a certain script, there's a certain way that you say it out. You can use your own script also once you learn it. So anyone can use it for self-help. So that's a great thing. I've been teaching EFT since more than 5 years now, and I see the results that are really, really good. It really helps people to go to the core pretty efficiently and very quickly. And as far as EFT treats, by the way, physical illnesses also in some ways, because when we have aches and pains in the body, that doctors don't know, why it's happening. So I have a lower back ache, I have a neck ache one day, I have a headache one day. What you need to do is just give a description of the pain in your mind. So you say that I have a searing pain in my neck, or I have a splitting headache. So you give a description to the pain in your body. The minute you give a description to the pain, you get to the core pretty quickly. So as you keep tapping and you say, I have a splitting headache. So you ask yourself, so what is splitting me for me to have this pain? So you go deeper into the split. And as you go deeper, you just might realize that the headache is a manifestation probably of a decision that you've not been able to take. Something as simple as that. And so it's splitting up your mind. It's giving you that headache because you just can't take the decision. So you tell yourself that it's okay, I don't need to split up my energy body. I will take that decision. There's a certain script that you follow. And the pain actually magically goes away. The minute you can go to the core and reassure yourself that it's okay, I can take the decision without splitting up my head. So EFT works also physically, emotionally of course. Where addiction is concerned, addiction is not about someone having a smoke here and there or someone having a drink here and there. Addiction is life limiting. That is when it needs help. I mean, we all can have, we all might be social drinkers and that's fine. But when that drinking goes to a level where it is affecting us personally and our families, well, then that's an addiction, okay? Addiction can be of any kind. It can be smoking, drinking, sex, food, obsession for cleaning, anything can be an addiction, okay? And most addicts in India, what we see, don't seek help because there is a social stigma to seeking help for addiction. Because an addict already has a very low self-esteem, because the family is saying that, oh, you're the black sheep of the family, you're drinking yourself to death, or you're the bad boy, you smoke too much. So already the self-esteem is very low. And on top of that, when the addict is told that you're not okay, the addict is at ground level. And then you tell the addict that now you need to get on medication or mental health. So it doesn't happen very easily, and hence addicts themselves and families struggle enormously with the recovery program. EFT as a tool helps people who willingly have gone into recovery, who genuinely want to recover, because it's a self-help tool. Now, what is addiction? I mean, one can talk lots of it, but very briefly, addiction is actually a void. It's an internal void, it's an emotional void, which the addict fills with the substance that he or she abuses. So the cigarette per se is just tobacco. I mean, there's nothing to it. It's paper and tobacco. But a smoker who can't quit smokes when he's stressed, smokes when he's happy, smokes when he's gone out with his friends, and he just smokes and smokes and smokes. So then what happens is that he is an addict because he can't do without that. And why can't he do without that? Because an emotion has got transferred to tobacco. So it's an emotion. Addiction is an emotion. When we drink ourselves to death, or whoever does it, it's not because the alcohol is just hardwiring the body. Yeah, the body gets hardwired. There's dopamine release when you smoke. We all know that. But it is the emotional connect to the alcohol that actually makes an addict an addict. So you drink when you're disturbed. You drink when you are happy. You drink when you see a bottle available. So that's an emotion that keeps getting triggered in the brain. The trigger in the brain can happen for many reasons. It can happen because, you see a situation which reflects something in your life that you're struggling with, and that's a trigger because you don't like it, or it's bringing up emotions that you can't deal with. So situations can be triggered. There is someone who's always looked down on you, for example. The person comes home and tells you something that you don't want to hear. That person is a trigger. So anything and everything can be a trigger, an emotional keg, a matchbox for an addict. Why? Because the addict lots of times works from a fight and flight place. Animals, we all have learned it since we were animals, we are animals. Fight and flight is a response to stress. Am I going to fight the situation? Am I going to fly from the situation? And that is something that animals use under threat. When someone is going to attack an animal, fight and flight is activated. When the animal has to hunt for food, fight and flight is activated. But the animal is not in a constant state of fight and flight. Under the modern times that we live in, where there is tremendous stress, personally, professionally, emotionally, a lot of times human beings get caught, get locked in the pattern of flight and flight. So after a while, stress becomes a normal state of being, anxiety becomes a normal state of being, and we forget that fight and flight only exists for situations where we are actually threatened. Somebody's going to come and attack me, so immediately my parasympathetic nervous system shoots up, I get blood pumping into my body, and I can face my attacker if I have to. But I don't have to have that state of mind all the time. But we get locked into a pattern. And why? So for an addict, the fight and flight is very high. So what happens is that there is a small almond-shaped organ in our brain that is called the amygdala. That is the seat of fight and flight, and that is what releases the stress hormones, the cortisols, the adrenalines. And for an addict, that is very high. The amygdala is constantly working for an addict because the triggers are everywhere for an addict. Yeah? And so the addict is very sensitive. The addict needs a lot of help. We have recovery programs. Some are successful, some are not for an addict because, of course, the most important thing in de-addiction is willpower. How badly you want to leave what is life-limiting for you. But beyond that, support systems are very important in addiction because of the function of the amygdala that is constant for an addict. So what can be a support system? Most families have, personal pressures of their own, and to completely devote their lives to someone's addiction it takes a lot out of a mother, a wife, a sister, a child. So it decomposes the family when there is addiction of one person in the family. So lots of times the family is not being even able to support the addict. Okay, there are organizations, Alcoholics Anonymous and Kripa, which work with drug addicts and all that. But how many meetings will you go to? I and that's like once in 10 days, maybe twice a month. So EFT as a tool is very good when you are recovering from addiction, because it is owned by you. You can use it when, say, for example, I am recovering from alcohol addiction. I have been called to a social gathering, and I see a glass of wine, and everybody is having a glass of wine, and my brain is triggering a response to alcohol. Alcohol makes me happy, I'm going towards it, but I know that I can fall off the wagon if I have that glass of wine. So what does the addict do, the recovering addict? There isn't really, he starts sweating, there's a physical response in the body. This is where EFT comes in, to unlock that somatic charge in the body. So what you do is, when you learn how to tap, you just tap. You go to the bathroom, go to your car, go to a corner of that party, and you just tap. You tap the meridians, wherever the meridians that need tapping, and you keep asking yourself that, what does this glass of wine mean for me? So if I have this glass of wine, what am I gaining from it? If I don't have it, what am I not going to gain from it? And as you go a little deeper into your need for that glass of wine, and you keep tapping, opening up that energy, a lot of times the need itself vanishes. And you come back to the party being able to have a social conversation without the back of your mind going that I need to have that drink, I need to have that drink. So EFT is personal. So you can do it anywhere, wherever you want to do it. Once you know how to do it, and the blocked energy just dissipates, helping you to get off that cortisol, that adrenaline trip that is triggering your response to your substance abuse. I think we are short on time. I want to quickly read out a list of things that addicts benefit with when they use EFT. EFT is taught very easily. You can learn it in about less than an hour. There is a script. When I teach, I give the people the script, and I tell them that, use it your way, what benefits you, but use these words, and then use it your way. And it's very easy to learn, okay? So the uses of EFT in addiction recovery, the main points are reducing, eliminating addictive cravings, what I just described, the party scenario. Alleviating withdrawal symptoms. If anyone has ever known anyone who's gone through a recovery program, the days and nights following that is extremely traumatic, because the body doesn't have that substance anymore, so it's throwing up all kinds of toxins, and it is hellish. When you tap, you reduce it significantly, and you are in a far more empowered place to cope with that, what your body is throwing up constantly, by taking a low vibration in the body to a higher place. And immediately you start feeling better. You start feeling more empowered. Then the third thing is managing anxiety, fear, grief, and anger. These are the fallouts of a victim. Victim and addiction, a person with addiction is always a victim in the head. And the attendant emotional problems are anger, grief, and all kinds of external triggers. Like, my parents were not good with me in childhood, so look how I turned out. My friend abused me one day, look how I turned out. So when they don't want to fix it from here, they would try and find external reasons for addiction. Once you start tapping into that charge, that anger and grief reduces significantly, because you are now looking within and not outside. The other thing is relieving physical pain and tension. Like I said right at the beginning, aches, pains, which are just there. Doctors don't know why, because it is psychological. Modifying unhelpful beliefs. Again, external trigger that you did it to me. So once you tap, once you peel the onion, once you go into your own soul, you know that somewhere you picked up a belief system that created addiction for you. So you can go deeper into that and finally let it go. Healing past trauma, enhancing sense of control and self-efficacy, obviously, because the two You don't have to go to a therapist. No one needs to come home. You can do it on your own. That's a huge sense of self-empowerment. Reducing risk of relapse. The less you have a drink in your recovery stage, the higher, obviously, is your chance of not falling off the wagon. So as you keep tapping, every time the trigger gets into force, and you are able to say no to that glass of wine, you have a higher chance of recovery, obviously. And day-to-day emotional and stress management. This is extremely good for children because children go through a high amount of stress in schools nowadays. Peer pressure, all kinds of things. You have an iPhone and I have a Nokia, so stress. So every kind of stress that children go through. Once you teach them how to tap and how to actually go to the core of the issue, it is very, very empowering for children. So it really helps to reduce their stress from their peer group that keeps coming. So we are running short of time. Fantastic would be a demo. We obviously can't do it. But go to the internet and go to the website eftuniverse.com. Okay? You can download a brochure from there. Okay? That's Gary Craig teaching you how to do EFT. Go through it and see how you feel about it. Thank you.